guys, Marty Schwartz here with Marty Music, hanging out with Eric Andreas. Dude.
Brother.
So nice to see you.
Thank you so much.
We are actually friends, so this is another episode where I'm actually the guest, so we go way back.
Yeah.
You know, I've only seen all this on screen, so it's exciting to be here. Your Guitar Sage is your moniker for teaching you guys. I'm sure most of you guys out there have already seen Eric, but just in case, Eric Andreas, your Guitar Sage, guitar teacher. So how did you fall in to teaching people?
For me, it was the fact that I was teaching so many students every day. I'd end up teaching the same songs several times. So whether it's usually a Taylor Swift song, right? we taught a few of those. And I was like, wow, that's the 5th time I've taught it this week. Mm-hmm. I might as well just flip the camera on. Yeah, I had a camera. And I had the internet. And so like literally I just posted something to the internet, YouTube, you know, I was like, this thing will never catch. So I posted it to that, and the rest is history. It's just like, you know, you end up getting a few followers, and then all of a sudden your videos start doing well, especially back in 2005, 2006.
Yeah.
It was somewhere around fall of 2005 that YouTube started, and you know, it was just like, there was 7 people on there.
Yeah.
And so it was really easy to get some folks to watch your videos. And then as people were saying, hey, I really like the way you do this. And I'm like, well, I think I should probably do it more.
Yeah.
And then started being proactive about it.
Yeah.
I think I was actually maybe a couple years into it and started getting, you know, the views don't matter because things have changed so much now. But like, you know, back then it was like a lot of views, and someone said, well, you ought to like actually sell something. And I'm like, oh wow, I've never thought, what a novel idea. And so I put a little book together and I sold a gazillion of those. Yeah. And for years, that's all I did is I had like this little ebook that I sold.
The famous ebook.
A famous ebook. And then, you know, obviously things change and we've got to do more and better and bigger. And
so what's your education like website? Is that yourguitarsage.com?
Yes. Yeah, that's where anybody can find all about what we do.
I think it's a great name, by the way. I always liked it.
If I could change that, I might. I don't know. I wasn't. To me, it sounds a little presumptuous that you know, maybe I'm this dude on a hill and I have all the answers, but I obviously don't. I'm still learning the guitar.
For sure.
So
it's
much.
It's got a ring to it, though.
Yeah.
Well, this is Guitar Tours.
Yeah.
You've picked some guitars out to share with us.
I did.
Thank you for that. And I think we're going to start with the one you're holding right there.
Yes, yeah. So this is a 1965 Fender Stratocaster. So before there was...
Like really from 1965?
Like really from 1965. Yeah. So before there was the 5-way switch, there was the 3-way switch, which you didn't get to you know, position 2 or 4. You had to sit there, finagle it until you can feel it or hear it, pop in there, and then you got that, right? So everything's original on this one. Bought this from George Gruen.
Yeah.
Where I buy like most of my guitars. The reason that this one stuck out is, number one, it was a 65. So most guitar players, they're shooting for a 64 below. Okay. I mean, you know, it depends. I mean, no one's gonna, you know, throw a 69 away, but it was good enough for Hendrix. It was good enough for a lot of people. But you know, the true like Strat aficionados, they're shooting for 64s because CBS bought Fender in 65, right? And they started tinkering with stuff and changing things. They didn't like that. Well, this was made in February of 65 and actually has some 64 parts in it as well. Greg Ellis, who's my guitar tech and helps me out with all things guitar because I'm not really a guitar aficionado in regards to specs and all that stuff. I'm just terrible with that stuff. But I know about this one. And we brought it home, he took it apart, he said, yeah, it's 100% original. So I was like, and I just fell in love with it immediately, the way it played and everything else. And I kind of wanted a museum piece, you know, so I have a couple of those that are completely original. And this one just, I mean, it just really just has that perfect. And so this guitar, more than any other guitar, I could just sit down with it and express myself more than any other guitar that I have, which is odd because I grew up such a rocker, humbucker pickups, but this one just speaks to me.
Beautiful.
You know? And this one that you have there is a 67. And that's all original as well. Before I purchased these two, which I purchased them on the same day, I think. And this one, it's funny, but you may feel the same way, but there's certain guitars that take a little while for me to warm up to it.
Yeah.
Kind of like a good Radiohead tune. You have to listen to it a few times, right? As opposed to just a good pop song, something that you just fall in love with.
Good analogy.
Yeah. And this guitar I'm still warming up to, and I've had it for several years, but I'm starting to play it a lot more now because this is kind of the one that I go to.
I was digging it. I thought it was probably a custom shop relic.
Yeah, no, that's the real deal. And someone really loved on that neck, and you can see on the back here, just sweat infused.
This thing has been played.
Yeah, this is worn out. This isn't just jam. Which a lot of people, they'll keep that jam on their fretboard, right? But that's like legitimately worn out.
This guy played a lot of.
Just some picking. Yeah.
Or maybe he played a lot of. A little bit here, a little bit here. Not as much up here.
Right. We know what keys the guy likes.
Yeah, he liked G and E for sure. Can I play this one?
Yeah.
I wanna overdrive it.
Yeah, hit that guy right there.
It's an SG.
It's an SG. It's a
it's an SG.
69 SG.
69 SG.
Yes.
Man, I didn't know we were going to be seeing all these vintage guitars today.
And to boot, owned by the Runaways.
Wow.
Joan Jett and Lita Ford.
Oh, yeah.
Played this guitar right here.
Wow, no kidding. So you got that in Nashville?
I bought this in Nashville from King Bee Guitars in Franklin. They're just like literally down a back road, but this guy knows everything about guitars and he has some real gems in there. And I walked in there, saw this thing. I was just like, oh dear God, I have to have that. But it was about a year before I bit the bullet and bought it. And the story that went along with it was that it was sold by the producer or engineer of the Runaways to this guy just years ago. The only thing that's not legit about it is the pickup, which supposedly the pickups for these SGs were not exactly what you want anyhow. So says my guitar tech. And I trust him. So they dropped something else in there, but it plays like a race car. I love it.
Wow.
Yeah.
The little big. Well, is this not a Bigsby?
So this is a Maestro.
Okay.
So, but yeah, very similar to Bigsby, and you could see that they actually took it off and put a stop tailpiece in it, and then said, yeah, no. Now that I've devalued the guitar, let's go ahead and put that Maestro back on there. But it stays in surprisingly good tune. But that partially has to do with these, I believe they're silicone, or maybe not silicone, but there's some sort of hard plastic which allows the strings to slip more.
Are there any cool pictures of the Runaways with that?
Man, I scour the internet. So I've nonetheless, I didn't buy the guitar as if, right? So like I still got a steal on this guitar, but I have not found any pictures. Yeah. I have emailed Lita.
Okay.
And she promptly did not get back with me. In fact, I've never heard from her. So I don't know. I don't have an official answer.
Dude, that thing is sweet.
Yeah, man.
I'm a little envious. Can I hear it some more?
Guitar envy. Yeah, let's do something.
Can we jam?
Let's do it.
Okay. Thanks for sharing all your awesome guitars. It's great. We both get a lot of fulfillment from helping people learn guitar. Yeah. So it's a great moment here, great opportunity to have you talk about one of your concepts or one of your things that, like a guitar hack, like you were saying earlier, that could help people out there. So is any cool little things while we're here that you can teach the peeps?
Yeah, a couple things that are kind of fresh on my mind just because I've been teaching them here lately in some vids. One of them is what I call the adjacent string trick, which is basically this idea that's built on octaves. And it's that idea that you could play any specific lick, right? And then play it in an octave lower. And of course, all the other places. Just knowing that. Now that's a concept that a lot of people, they'll go, oh, yeah, I know that. But they don't keep it like at the forefront of their mind, which is the difference in everything here, because it's like, if you're playing this and you know it from a conceptual level, but then you're not actually able to apply it, well, then what good is it, right? I will think about stuff like that when I'm soloing, like where can I go on the neck? If I'm playing this lick up here, where can I play it in other places? And then what that allows the player to do is know the neck a lot more intimately than just being in one place all the time. And they know that they can move those little bits around and they're going to get the same tones, right?
Yeah.
So that's what I call the adjacent string technique. And basically anything that you do on strings 1 and 2, 3 and 4, or 5 and 6 can be produced, obviously an octave up, but can also be produced on the other strings. More what it does for me is it's like if you know where that root is, in this case here, it's my third finger, and it would be the same if I was in that position or in this position, but if I'm playing this lick, it's not just the root comes down, everything comes down. And so that's nice because if you're in this area of the neck and you're like, well, I don't really know any licks to play there. Well, you've got the licks that you've played up here and in these other spots. You can bring them with you. And you may not play the exact same thing all the time, but at least you'll know where the sweet notes are. You'll know where your root is, that sort of thing. Yeah.
Sweet. One thing I would add to that is if, you did a, and then another octave lower. Yes. And then another octave lower. So you're playing it. One thing I have is just the knowing the extended pentatonic, that you just use your index and ring finger. I've taught that a lot.
Yes.
But putting it together with like if you had the same exact lick in 3 octaves. Then I would say, well, use that extended scale to connect them together. So if you went like...
now all of a sudden there's stuff starts coming out.
Yeah, and so if you got 2 licks... and the other one. You combine those with just that extended thing that you practice. Right. So you're still like not fully improvising,
right?
But you add that as like your little freeway when you're starting to learn to connect the things together.
Yeah, I love that.
But I love that too. You got another, maybe more of a chordal kind of concept for people out there?
Yeah, so another thing that to me is the cornerstone of everything musically is understanding the number system, or at least understanding how the chords line up diatonically or according to the major scale, right? So we know the major scale is, and if we number those, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, then what that does is instead of a G having a certain role, which it would in the key of G, it would be the 1, but in the key of F, it would be the 2. So it's going to have an entirely different role. So when you start thinking about music in numbers, everything makes more sense because now a particular role that a number plays is going to be different than the letter, because that's going to change obviously with the key, whereas it doesn't change with the numbers. So if you're in a major key, the 1 is the tonal center. It always is, always will be. And if you go down 1.5 steps, that'll be what's called the 6 or the relative minor, and that's always going to be minor unless you change diatonic harmony, which people do sometimes, right? The other bit is understanding that the chords in a major key go major 1, minor 2, minor 3, major 4, major 5, minor 6, diminished 7, and then back to our major 1 again. And if you understand that 99% of the time that's the chord structure of like all music, then you go, oh my God, it's literally like the keys to the kingdom, like understanding that the majority of all the chord progressions you're going to run into are going to fall into that. So when someone's talking about a 1-4-5 progression in the key of G, they say it's a 1-4-5, you know it's a G, C, D. And it makes it that simple, and you would know that they're major unless somebody said something otherwise. So to me, that sort of thing, once I was shown that, I go, that means everything, and then I couldn't unsee it. So when I would evaluate or analyze a song, I was able to know what chords, I could anticipate the chords,
Yeah, knowing the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, no matter what key you go to, the relationship is the same.
The relationship's the exact same, right? And what we mean by relationship, right, is the distance between the notes in the chords and the flavors of the chords, major, minor, diminished, whatever, all that stuff just moves in whatever key,
So another thing that you probably see a lot, I know I do, is like, I'm in a rut. Mm-hmm. That's one of the ones I get a lot. I don't know what to practice, or like I'm not getting better. And I was thinking about this because I've been making so many videos lately. Something that's been working really well for me is picking 2 or 3 completely different things, topics that I'm working on. If I'm teaching a song, then let's say I was like working on a Metallica song, a Fleetwood Mac song, and a Led Zeppelin song. So what I started to do was so I didn't feel ruttish, or that I was just like, playing the same thing over and over. I would spend like 15 or 20 minutes on the Metallica one, and then completely let go of it, and then start working on the Zeppelin one for 15 or 20 minutes with no pressure that I had to master it at that moment. Just work on it. And also not getting bored by just like, I can't get this. I just kind of chip away at one and then move over to another one, and it feels kind of fresh.
Yes.
And I usually pick maybe 3 things. So like if you were a student, you could pick you're working on a scale, right? Work on the scale, but don't do it to the point where you're like getting discouraged. Work and don't even have expectations. Work on it for like 10 or 15 minutes. Then start working on a song that you're also working on. So if you're like rotating things, it feels fresher as you go to each one. And I know like I was working on Master of Puppets by Metallica, and it's not my style. It's super fast with all down picking. It was really frustrating because I expect
Isn't it humbling, right? You find somebody that you're like, I've been playing for how long? And
I know, that's what I'm saying. Like, I expect...
Whatever you practice is what you get good at. So if you don't practice that, you're not going to be good at it.
Yeah, and I do say don't avoid the things that you're bad at because you're never going to get better. But so for what I did was because I couldn't play it to speed it took me like a week of practicing it.
Yeah.
I would even sometimes go, Siri, set the timer for 10 minutes and just like be like, for 10 minutes and then go, okay, I'm done. And then come back. I'm going to come back in an hour, but then I would start working on some other thing that I was working on.
Yeah.
So anyway, rotating a few different topics, I find for me really helped.
Yeah.
So
any
tips for any guitar sage advice?
Yeah, exactly what you're saying there is really important, and two, knowing what it is, knowing why it is that you're doing a particular something. So that may sound strange, but a lot of people they say, well, I don't know what to play. That'd be a great time to say, well, why do you want to play? Well, I love blues. Okay, great. What about blues? Well, I love Stevie Ray Vaughan. Cool. Start listening to some Stevie Ray Vaughan. Start copying his stuff, start learning all his licks. Now all of a sudden you're doing what it is that you want to do. So the why is very important, and like you said, to focus. Someone asked this on a live broadcast the other day, is it better to do small increments of scales and theory and chords and this, that, and the other thing, which I said in the beginning, I think that's important because you really need to think like a farmer and you're planting a bunch of different things and letting everything rise up at the same time instead of focusing, well, I'm just going to focus on scales for a year. Focusing on scales, after you get all the basics down, focusing on a particular something like you're talking about yields so much more results because you're going deeper. You're going deeper in your practice as opposed to just the light stuff and you just never get beyond that. So sometimes you have to just dig in. It's like working out. If you just work out with light weights, doing the same thing every single day, you're really not going to get any gains. But if you went in full hard, with your arms one day, boom, you're going to see results. So, gains, man. So same thing with guitar. It's if you want to get faster, then you got to practice getting faster. You have to be pushing against your edge.
Yep. Eric Andreas, also known as your Guitar Sage.
Brother.
Thank you for coming on the show at your place.
Yes, thank you for being here.
Yeah,
Thanks for having me.
Your place is amazing.
Thank you.
And you guys, if you don't know Eric already, it's your Guitar Sage, Eric Andreas, yourguitarsage.com.
Yes.
Tons of educational stuff. And, that's where my heart's at. So we're brothers in arms.
Yes.
I just want to thank you again. Awesome guitars, awesome dude, great guitar teacher. And sorry it took so long, right?
I know it's taken a while.
Like, we've known each other forever.
I knew it would happen.
Yeah. And we definitely bonded over, being in this weird
years ago.
Years ago we met. Yeah. One more jam?
Yeah.
All right. Here we go.